All right, it looks like we are live, everybody. I am just going to check to make sure that this live stream is showing up in all the places I'd like it to show up. And I see that's working. And I will just check once more here to see how it's going. All right, so today, yep, we are talking about those unexpected things that leave you feeling stretched beyond your limit. So, welcome to Burnout Hiding in Plain Sight, where we talk about patterns, habits, strategies, policies, even procedures that can create more vulnerability to burnout. That can get us to the place where we feel like it's a little too much and life is exhausting us. So, today's topic is one that has a pattern, like that one of the patterns that can get us to this place where we feel stretched beyond our limit when something unexpected happens, is one of the things I want to talk a little bit about today. But let's just think about this question to get there. Let's think about this question. How do we actually get stretched beyond our limit? So, one thing I'll say is this. Many times, what I see is when people feel stretched beyond their limit, when something happens unexpectedly and it's like, oh my God, I'm off of my rhythm, right? Oftentimes, what's been happening is that they have days where there's really no space in between things. There's just right. They're from one meeting to the next, one meeting to the next, and then they get that call, or they have to go to a meeting and they go outside and they expect them to be able to get there in 15 minutes, but there's traffic or there's something that happens with their car, something like that, right? So there's just no room. So when you're in a day like that, it because you created a crunch day, and that may be also because you're just feeling crunched inside, and that crunched feeling is telling your nervous system that something is wrong. Something is wrong. We're crunched. This is not going to work. We probably need to get to safety. So your nervous system, when you're crunched like that, is already in this sort of alert state. Now comes along this thing that you didn't expect. And the nervous system is like, yeah, we really better run. And that's that stretched beyond the limit, right? I'm at my edge. And if I go one step, I don't even know where there's any place for me to hang on to, right? So the thing that's happening is we just haven't left enough room, right? So that's one reason we can get to this space where we're stretched. And it's not just the outside room, but it's the inside room. It's the room inside of us to feel through the things we're doing. We don't think about what some people call emotional tax, right? How much our work requires of us, not just our mental, right, and our physical, but also this connection we have, our emotional, what we have to engage in, right? So if you are going to meetings or you're working on projects that require your emotional engagement, then that's some energy that you're giving, and you may just not have left enough space for you to really be able to engage with things at that emotional level. Now what I see people do is they actually trying to turn off that emotional level and just don't listen to it. So again, if something's happening inside of you and you're not listening to it, then your nervous system is telling you there's a fire, you better run, right? So this not leaving room outside in the way we planned our day and not leaving room inside of us to process things can get us to this moment of being stretched. There's also, believe it or not, some research which says we often underestimate how much time it takes us to do a thing. So again, it's another reason to leave space between things. We underestimate it. And this is just me guessing, like, how could that happen that somebody would underestimate? Now, I'm guilty as anybody else. I've underestimated, I did not think that was going to take that long. Oh, okay. I was just going to change my phone, right? I'm gonna drive to the place, da 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 da, and it should just take me maybe an hour or so in the store, maybe 40 minutes. No, sometimes it takes longer. So sometimes we underestimate what how much time it takes. And because of that underestimation, we're pushing, right? Okay, I'm going to be a little bit late with this. So I can squeeze in here. Okay, I can't get to that meeting right on time, but I'll get there 10 minutes late, or I'll get there 15 minutes late. I'll just let them know I'm going to come late. But then that unexpected thing comes along, and you're now like, oh, yeah, I can't stretch that much. There's just not any more for me to give. There's no room, right? So this no room principle, outside or inside, like what we've planned, and inside of us, there's no room. That's where we feel stretched. And actually, it's really more like we're crunched because like we can't move, right? It's like I can hardly breathe. You might even notice your breathing changing. So the first thing is to get out of this feeling of feeling so stretched is to really get in touch with your body. And people do that in a lot of ways. First, you got to notice it. When that feeling comes, some people want to push against it and say, okay, no. I can work it out. I can work it out, right? I'll just move this over here. I'll just do this and I'll just keep pushing. And then at the end of the day, you might feel it, or even the next day, you might say, man, it's hard for me to get up today. And that goes on several days in a row. Then we're setting ourselves up to get to that place where we're burned out and we're just too exhausted to move. And we don't like what we're doing anymore. That the passion, I know that most of us, whatever we're doing, like our days are filled with lots of things we love, taking care of our families, doing the work that we love, meeting with people we love that we enjoy, or that ignites something in us. And once you get to the place where you crunch yourself so much, you actually lose that. You lose that connection to your own passion. So how do we start this process of getting out of feeling stretched? Like, how do we get out of the stretch? So one thing is just first what I said to you, to recognize that your nervous system is giving you a signal. Your nervous system saying, wait, something's not right here. And treat it like that, right? It's, you might have that feeling like you want to run. So you say, oh, well, wait a minute, wait, we want to run. What are we running from? So then you have to settle enough that your nervous system feels like it's safe to be right here where you are. Now, for some people, that means, okay, I'm going to take a walk, and I'm just going, every step I take, I'm just going to let all these things run into my head, float out of me like clouds floating away. Or just take a walk and let my head get clear. Other people might say, all right, I'm just going to sit here for a moment and I'm going to journal about this to get to the emotional piece of it, to be able to let out the feeling of being emotionally stretched. And when you can get there, right, when you can start to settle your nervous system, then you start to come back to, well, what can I do? Some people use simple grounding practices where you get, really notice, okay, where are my feet? Simple question, where are my feet? Okay, my feet are right here. Where are my hips? Okay, right here. Where's my body? What do I see around me? So using your senses to engage, to get yourself to the point where you can feel safe. This is a safe place. I'm fine. I'm sitting in my office. I'm at home, wherever I am. So the first step is to get back to there, and then to this safety, right? This feeling that I'm okay right here. And then to ask, right, what does this particular situation need? Now, if your day is really packed, it might be hard for you to take the thing that was going to take you 2 hours and shift it later in the day because there's things down there that are just right. So it's teaching you that there's also going to have to be a long-term plan. But for now, in that first moment, you're really trying to figure out, what does this situation need and what is the first step I can take to start that process. Yes. So the longer term goal, right? So you're going to take those steps. At that point, your nervous system's gotten a little bit more calm. The other thing I will say, just to go back for a moment, is that you can use breath work to calm yourself. There's a breathing process technique that I use whenever I feel like my nervous system's like, you better run, and to help me immediately feel calm so that I can decide, right? There's actually a few that I use. I've shared some of them when I've been here on Wednesdays. So the first thing, right, just to remember that breath work is a tool that you can use. And then you want to think more long term. If you note, right, that I've given you two possible ways that you can get to this place of feeling stretched. If you notice that you have a day that doesn't have room, then start to look for ways to put room in your day. How do you put some room in your day? Like the simplest step you can take is just to give yourself room in the day so that there's space in between things. So that you can actually say, I'm leaving this and I'm going to this. Now, for some people, if you're like a care provider and you're going from patient to patient, you might be in a clinic or a hospital setting, or even in your own office. So what are you going to do? You might have one patient, then you'll go to another one. So you're going to say, right, I'm leaving this space, right? This patient is ready to go, and now I'm stopping here for a moment. You're all right, you at the door, you're saying, now I'm going into this. And you're just maybe taking three breaths. You're just noticing that I'm moving from one thing. I've completed that. Now I'm here. Being able to leave one thing behind and feel yourself moving in between and then being in another place is the pathway, right? So putting space in your day is one of the most important things. Putting rest and recovery in your day. Now, if you work in like a clinic setting or something like that, you probably may not have space, right? Or if you work in a high pressure place where there's not a lot of space in between things, you have to create the space inside yourself. So breath work, um, noticing where's the smallest transition, right? I'm in this meeting, and then there's a shift from the person who's leading the meeting to the next person who's leading the meeting. What can you do in that shift time? Can you stand up and stretch? Can you say, I'm going to get a drink of water? Can you just take a walk and come back in 5 minutes? So, because if one person has to leave, another person has to set up in that same room, there's going to take some time for that. So, you're going to take 5 minutes and then find yourself just that little bit of a break. So, putting these little rest breaks, micro breaks throughout your day can also help your nervous system be calm enough so that when something unexpected happens, it doesn't hit you so hard that you feel like you're stretched beyond your limit. And then, long term, one of the things that I like as a practice of helping people create days where there's rest and recovery is to actually expand that even out to the way you look at your week. So, when you look at your big picture week you're working with, whatever day you start with, and you're going from one beginning of your week to the end, look at it and see what are the demands across those days. And I recommend having some days, right? Maybe 4 of those days where you have what I call in command days, where you have maybe a couple of big projects that you have to work on that will take you 1 to 2 hours. And then there are days that I call low demand days. So on those low demand days, you may have more medium-sized projects that might take you 30 minutes, half an hour or so. And in between, you put longer breaks. For some people, that could be more of a weekend when they can do that. For others, it might be other days, right? You might have days that you can make lighter if you can control your schedule in that way. Longer term, that's a strategy that you can use. So I'm just going to check and see if there are any questions over here. And if there's no questions, I am going to. Okay, cool. We're good. We're there. All right. And I don't see any here. Sometimes you can't tell. But if I don't get to your question right now, I will get to your question in the comments. So make sure you leave it in the comments. I always come back to these videos and answer any questions in them, right? So if you have those, please let me know. And if you are feeling like you need to create a new relationship with stress, I have a course called Find More Ease in Stressful Times, and I'm going to put the link to learn more about that course beneath the video so that I can support you in changing your relationship with stress so that it doesn't get from too stressed to burned out. All right. Have a beautiful day. See you soon.